Hey guys, it's Wes, the Garden Blurred, coming to you with another Fourth Son Gardening Channel video. It's been a while since my debut, and I know I left you for a long time, but in between inclement weather and family things, we just haven't had time to make the video. So here we go. We're going to go ahead with this garden tour real quick. Let you see all the different projects we're working on, see what we currently have growing, and so you can get a feel of what this channel is all about. So starting right here, right outside my back door, we already have several plants. We often step right outside here and snag a few leaves and make salads for the house. Come outside and grab some leaves of greens and make, collard greens and things like that, because we really love collard greens at our house. We also love salads. So right outside our back door, we have everything we need in order to make a quick salad, or to make a pot of greens, or to just come out here and sit and enjoy nature. So first up, we have right here, we have a portable garden bed, a self-watering garden bed, and I have in here some red vein sorrel and some radicchio, and also some regular sorrel, some French sorrel right here. So this is the French sorrel. You can just pick this, and what I like to do is just pick some leaves and eat it in salads, as well as the red vein sorrel and the radicchio. I've actually eaten that, just pick it and eat it in a salad, which is pretty good. Adds great color and great flavor to a garden salad. Then over here I have a bed. This is also one of my beds that I use just for picking up and stepping outside and eating a salad. And there goes Urana. She's our outdoor cat. I guess she didn't want to be part of the video. But we have a little bit of salad down here. We have some calendula growing to add some color, and also calendula is an edible flower. We have pak choi here. This is pak choi. It's in the same family as bok choy. Like I said, we have the salad greens mix here, and if you're curious about what the different species of salad greens that we have here, I can put that in the description below. A little bit further back, we have some cilantro. Then moving over into the other bed, I have nasturtium, more of the red vein sorrel. I really like the red vein sorrel. Plus it has a deep taproot that brings up the minerals and nutrition from way down deep in the soil and brings that up into the leaves. So like if you happen to break off one of these leaves, whenever you eat the red vein sorrel, you'll notice it's got that little bit of red juice in there. It actually tastes pretty good when you add it to a salad. It's quite delicious. I have right here, I have some lavender, and then I have the rainbow Swiss chard. Both of these plants, this is their second season. So I've eaten a lot off of both of these plants, and they're still thriving. Then in the back here, I have some purple sage. Those were just put in the ground maybe a few weeks ago. I did have a larger one, but it took to a disease after it got some possums in the yard and they dug out most of the roots. And I wasn't able to save that plant. So in order to try and replace that other plant, I've replanted with these this purple sage right there. And then I have my newer Swiss chard plants here. Have 4 of them, along with, of course, some more red vein sorrel. I know most of you are probably wondering, what is this tree branch right here in front of me? This is actually moringa. I do believe that I kind of chose a bad location for this. I should have chosen a location a little bit further out in the yard. But this plant did very well this past year. And I see that this one, cutting it back, it's already got a few, if I can zoom in right there, there's already a bud right there. So this plant is actually coming back. So it may not be a good idea for me to attempt to move it at this time. But I would definitely try to take some cuttings and place it in a better part of the yard that gets a little bit more sun. But this will be great position for this one here because it'll provide a little bit of shade for the patio. Then moving on, I have tarragon, I have mint, and I have some sweet thyme in the back. Moving on into this other bed, I have some peppermint, some spearmint right here. And you know, I did the age-old mistake of actually putting this in the ground and not putting it in a pot, but I've attempted to block it off by planting the chives all the way around it, which is, so far it's working, except for all the way in the back of the bed. It's managed to sneak around and try to grow through the bed. So I'm gonna have to pull that out. I plan on putting another plant back there to make use of that space. Move over here, I have another fennel plant, and I can't wait until this gets a little bit more mature and the bulbs get bigger so we can pan fry that a little bit. I also tend to add the leaves to soups, and I'll even thrown it in a salad before. Just chewed it, you know, grab some leaves and I'll chew it by itself. So Urana has decided that she wants some attention here. Moving on, I also have some brassicas in this bed, and to attempt to protect them from the cabbage worms, I've surrounded them with arugula and as you can see, the chives, which are pretty aromatic. That way it'll confuse all the cabbage moths and keep them off of my plants. So far it seems to be working because I have some other brassicas in the yard that are being attacked by the cabbage moth, but so far these have been pretty much untouched. And down here on the end, I want to show you, I have what they call root beer plant, and whenever you break the leaves or bruise the leaves of the root beer plant, it actually smells like root beer. I originally bought my very first one a few years ago at the Natural Gardener over in Oak Hill, and I found out that some natives of the islands used to use this to cook their fish. So they would wrap the fish in the leaves of this plant and then cook it, and then it would impart that flavor and that scent into the meat that they would cook. Moving into my backyard now, you can see I have a little bit of everything going on, but I have some Chinese red giant collard greens right here in this bed. And these plants right here, these actually came up from seed from an older plant that I let go to seed last season. And that plant was given to me by my mother. So I planted it out here, and we ate pretty well off of that plant. Then once the Texas temperature started going up and getting really hot, it bolted, and I kept all of the seeds that I could from that plant. I planted those in other parts of the yard that we'll get to here in a moment. But these two plants here, this one and then the one over here, these came up from seeds that were dropped by the original plant. So they seem to be doing pretty well. It does appear that the cabbage moth has gotten to this one a bit, but I have sprayed it with a solution that we're going to talk about in another video. But I'm I'm quite happy to see that this plant is coming along very well, and we will definitely have several pots of greens prepared and cooked in our household off of these plants. Moving on back, I have here some curly leaf parsley, and like I said, another fennel plant. This is actually this fennel plant's second season, so I am really happy that this one is doing well. As you can see here, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulbs coming up on this plant. So this one's gonna do really well this year, eat well off of this plant. Like I said, almost all of my plants in this yard, we just step right out into the backyard, harvest a bit, and keep going. I tend to use the cut and come again method, so I don't completely harvest any of my plants. If I can, I just make cuttings off of it, or pull leaves, and then eat off of that. Moving on, we have here the Jerusalem sage. We're going into this plant's second season. And then also we have here thyme. Now these two plants were part of my original experiment to try the square foot gardening method, because this bed was full of different types of herbs, but these are the only two that really survived. I do see some golden sage over there that was from the original planting. Hopefully that one will come back well this year. We'll see. We'll keep our eyes on that. And then coming around behind us, we have this bed where I have a lot of salad greens, even though I also have some spinach there, but like I said, that is still a salad green here. So in between here, I have several different kinds of lettuce. I have rosemary in here, arugula. Also really love the taste of arugula, and of course I have my red vein sorrel far in that far back corner back there. That was the original planting spot of all the red vein sorrel that I have in my yard. 3 of the plants that are over by my back door were originally planted here, but they didn't do well because they were crowded out by other plants. But once those other plants were pulled up, then these 3 plants started coming back, which I'm really happy about, because I've been trying to grow red vein sorrel for several years with no success in my other house down in Hays County. So to see these plants doing so well makes me very happy, because I've actually been able to. Sorry, I've got to get this thing out of here. I see it. I've got to take care of it now. There we go. That's going to cause problems later, but we'll get back to that. But yeah, so we have this red vein sorrel coming back strong, and then I see apparently this one is coming back up from a root right here. So I'm going to have a nice supply of red vein sorrel to add to some of the garden salads for our house. Moving down, we have, you can see where the kid rather, my son has been playing in the yard. Had his basketball over there. But I have, this is a bed. Last year I had okra in here. I think I'm going to plant the okra in another location with a little bit better sun and access. Then I'm going to try the square foot method in this bed again for this year. I haven't decided what I'm going to plant in this bed yet. So this is just soil, a soil mixture. That has seemed to, it has attracted life. So that's always good. You can see the roly-polies there, or some people call them pill bugs. So this is just a soil mixture of several different types of soil and compost, and then at the very base it's almost like a miniature hugelkultur bed, because there's a bit of what did you want to call it, there's wood chips or shavings all the way down at the bottom, and then there's just some generic garden soil on top of that. And then I took a compost mixture. Some of my compost that I make here at the house is on top of here, and then a compost mixture of composted cotton burrs, and I think it was rice hulls that we put in here. So like I said, this soil, it is coming alive. So far since we've been sitting right here, I have seen earthworms, I've seen the pill bugs or the roly-polies, and we seem to have, look at that, we have a millipede in here. So the soil is alive, and living soil is the best type of soil, because if the animals and insects are attracted to it, that means I'm on the right track. And again, I have another batch of the Chinese red giant collards. These have been attacked, or at least my seedlings have been attacked by the cabbage moths. So I've sprayed that with a solution, and we're going to talk about it in another video, because it's kind of experimental. Even though I've done this before in the past, I just want to share that with you guys. It'll be pretty surprising. It's something that's pretty common, but it's a refreshing type of mixture that you can use on all your plants to try and keep the insects off of them. And here's a bed that I'm preparing for this year. I'm thinking of either putting tomatoes or cucumbers in here. Haven't quite decided yet. Well, I'm not quite to that point. We're still just planting seedlings in here to get them ready for actual planting. So I'm just letting this kind of marinate until we're ready for actual planting. Then we come to over here. As you see, I have a lot of leaves out here. I've managed to find a pretty good source for free leaves. So every now and then I will go and I'll pick up these big old bags like we have right over here, and we'll take them and process them in my leaf shredder there, and just let them blow out into the yard and make a nice layer. So that keeps the weeds down here in the yard. It keeps the grass down, because I'm not a really big advocate for just growing a lawn, as you can probably tell. I just want to just keep it as natural as possible. That way it encourages the microorganisms to come into the yard. I hardly ever use any chemicals. I try not to, other than when things get really bad, like over here with the collard greens, just to try and keep those insects off of them until those plants get strong enough to fend off the insects themselves. But back to the leaves. I have all these leaves. We'll talk about the process of getting free local resources and processing those, and what they can bring to your garden as well. Moving a little bit further back, as you can see, I have this pile back here. This is another compost pile. As you can tell, it's covered with, this is all coffee grounds. I managed to coordinate a large pickup with a local coffee brewer here in town. So within the past few days, I actually picked this up from that coffee brewer and put it on top of this pile. So coffee grounds, they have a carbon to nitrogen ratio, high in nitrogen, of 20:1. So these are really, really good, especially when you combine that with leaves, which have a carbon to nitrogen ratio of about 60:1. which are high in carbon. So the leaves provide you a lot of carbon, and the coffee grounds provide you a lot of nitrogen. So with those two together, about a 3-to-1 mix, then you get really good compost. So I'm going to be stacking this up out here to create a lot of compost and planting things out once all of this is ready for the year. Over here in the corner, I actually have sunchokes planted. I'm really excited about those coming up. I've been trying to obtain some sunchokes for the past 2 years. This is the first big year I've actually planted in this yard. Before, I've tried to obtain them for my other house, but I wasn't able to. So this is the first year I've gotten some sunchokes, got them planted in there. So stay tuned until those come back up. And then here is, as you can call it, part of my gardening obsession. I've got, this is my little compost operation, my smaller compost operation. I've got 2 tumblers, and then I guess you can call it a tower. My tower, it's a combination of hot compost and earthworms. I did used to have 2 worm factories, but it seemed to be a little bit more efficient if I just take all the earthworms, drop them in here, and let them do their work. So this is already full. This is a mixture of leaves, kitchen scraps, and coffee grounds, and then also yard waste. And that's what's in mostly all 3 of these, except for these 2 right here are mostly leaves and coffee grounds. So we'll see how that turns out here within the next couple months. All right, so that's about it with our yard. I hope you stay tuned and see what we're doing with the yard for the next season. And this isn't the only thing we're going to be doing. We're not just going to be tracking the progress of our garden, but we're also going to be checking out local resources to help show you how to get better resources for your garden as well. So that includes garden centers, landscape suppliers, local botanical gardens, and even botanical gardens and farms that are outside this region. So like I said, stay tuned. There's a lot more coming for this channel, and come on and grow with us.